What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junk Drummer TV, where I give my initial reactions, my hot takes, and my analysis on the drummers of today and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow. If I stick around that long, I'm a professional drum teacher and a gigging musician, and I did the math the other day. I have been both of those things for over 25 years. If you watch my videos, you know that I like three things. I like woodworking, I like drums and music, and I like professional wrestling, and I never thought that I would get professional wrestling on this channel. Now, I am actually on a wrestling podcast somewhere else on YouTube, but it's one of my favorite things. I'm a grown-ass man and I like professional wrestling. Get off my case about it. I was watching this show on Vice. Of course, Vice has excellent wrestling content. They don't really have excellent anything else anymore. But it was a new show called Tales from the Territories, and I was told about this thing that happened, which was a professional wrestling match, narrated, I guess is the best way to put it, by a percussion ensemble. And multiple people who know me sent me this video and was like, this is the most Steve video that's ever happened. So we're going to watch a professional wrestling match while a percussion ensemble plays during it. I guess the gimmick of it is it's kind of like a ballet or an opera. I guess we're going to be watching like program music. If you don't know what program music is music that depicts something that's going on stage. It also depicts like a concrete object in a musical way. Like the most famous program music would be Gustav Holst's The Planets. So when you hear the song Mars, Gustav Holst was trying to audibly describe what Mars was. Of course, Mars is the Warbringer, so that song is very, sounds like we're going to war if you've ever heard it. So this is going to be fucking ridiculous, and I can't wait to watch Jeff Jarrett, who's actually one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, wrestle Dirty Dutch Mantel, and there's going to be a percussion ensemble playing at the same time. Let's check it out.
And the Wichita State Percussion Ensemble and professional wrestling stars Jeff Jarrett and...
So it's the Wichita State Percussion Ensemble with...
Dirty Dutch Mantel. More American originals on the Lonesome Pine Special.
That's right. So this was on PBS. This proves that when you don't have to turn a profit, you can get away with a lot of shit. I mean, this had to start with just Tom's playing quarter notes, right? So I'm wondering if this is going to be like a written piece. Is this going to be improvised with the action going on in the ring? I love how serious the percussionists are taking it. They're like, we gotta keep this gig. We've got to be very, very serious about this percussion ensemble playing during a wrestling event. Mini quarter notes and a tam. That wasn't a chime. That was not a gong. That was a tam. Tam. Of course, many people don't realize piano is technically a percussion instrument. This conductor is so into it. Oh, this is going to be so great. The video is going to be so long. So far, we have many quarter notes. Get to the wrestling. Also, because I read a little bit about this, the xylophone or the keyboard percussionist is actually Dave Samuels, who's the vibraphone player from the 80s fusion stalwart Spyro Gyra. Shouldn't that be Spyro Hera? Where's the wrestling? Okay, if you were just a drum set player and you were never in concert band or marching band, that is the timpani, the father of all drums. For many hundreds of years, this was kind of the only percussion instrument. This preceded the snare drum. And it now precedes a wrestling match. If you were a percussion major in college, you've definitely played something like this in percussion ensemble. Some like highfalutin, pretentious, avant-garde, like Edgar Varese, John Cage type piece. That's what we're hearing so far. I don't think I've ever seen flams on a timpani before. Oh, dude, this is just ionization. If you don't know what ionization is, it's a percussion ensemble piece, very famous. I'm assuming that's Dave Samuels. I can't see him. Oh, here we go. The Gladiators have come to the stadium, to the arena. Okay, so the weirdest thing that we're going to see is this has to be like a PBS crowd. So when you think of like a wrestling crowd, you don't really think of like affluence and cultural refinement in wrestling fans. It's one of the best parts about wrestling, right? It's not a bunch of pretentious bullshit in the crowd. I think we're going to see a lot of those in the crowd. I wonder if the crowd is going to get this. Because if you're a professional wrestling fan, you know that like half of it is the crowd. This is already, you can already tell how old school this wrestling is, as the ref is checking them for foreign objects. They don't do that anymore. We just assume there's no foreign objects. A lockup has occurred. Oh God, there it is, the avant-garde piano shit. You see him just take his fucking forearm and smash down on all the keys at once. We just needed a sound. We have a lockup. We have an arm drag. I say this all the time on the wrestling podcast that I'm on. I'm a simple man. If Jeff Jarrett is on my screen, I watch that screen. Even here with a ridiculous percussion ensemble playing noise behind a professional wrestling match. Hammer on metal. So what you just saw there that made that big slap sound, that's just 2x4s that have a hinge, and it just slaps together like that. And I know that sounds like a silly thing, and it kind of is, but it's a very standard instrument in percussion ensembles. Headlock takeover into a head scissors. This is fucking dumb. There is a thin line between artistic expression and stupidity, and I think that we're tightrope walking that line right now. And I'm not talking about the wrestling. The wrestling is fine. These are two of the finest wrestlers that you're ever going to see. It's just the sounds and shit that's going on back behind it. Right now, the silliest thing that's going on is not the professional wrestling. It's only in a world where you have the taxpayers' money to broadcast nonsense would this ever be a thing, and it could only happen on NPR or PBS. You know, they should have made this a crossover. You should have Ira Glass as a as a commentator. That'd be fucking awesome. Be like Lynn Rosetta Stone, or Lynn Rosetta Casper, and Ira Glass as commentators. Another lockup. Lots of toms. Oh, that's cheating, ref. That's cheating. The crowd got it. You hear the crowd like, ooh. It's a nice Yamaha recorded custom drum set. I mean, why is there a conductor? Why is he there? Okay, now we're starting to sound like a percussion ensemble behind a wrestling match. I mean, this referee's trying to maintain order. There's chaos going all around. Another lockup. Okay. So that crescendo of Tom Madness, ended with some two double stop notes played on a glockenspiel, which is German for bells playing, and it matched what was going on. Fair enough. Hey, why is the ref getting him off the because he was on the ropes. Okay, yeah, you can't top a man on the ropes. Ropes is home base. I can't tell who the heel or the babyface is. Like, traditionally, Dirty Dutch Mantel was like the bad guy, and Jeff Jarrett was the babyface or the good guy, and Jeff Jarrett's kind of wrestling like a babyface, or wrestling like the heel right now. The crowd's laughing, right? Irish whip, duck down, headlock takeover. And that is the percussion representation of a headlock takeover. Irish whip, leapfrog, drop kick. I wonder, like, any time that those percussion ensemble guys are doing stuff like this, you think they ever was just like, what am I doing with my life? Or are they like, man, I'm getting paid to do this? They're just making noise and nonsense. Again, this is avant-garde, outsider type music, 20th century music, if you will. It's dumb. We haven't had any cymbals yet. Hey, Dave Samuels, can you just beat the shit of that high note? Oh, was that a gunshot? Oh, man. Yeah, there was a gunshot for no good reason at all. Jeff Jarrett, one of the best sellers in the business, selling that armbar. And I guess the armbar doesn't get any music. He's trying to get a rope break. Have you ever noticed that when you watch stuff from back then, like how just blurry it was? Our eyes have evolved from watching, 4K HD. I'm old enough to remember, I think this is from it's from the 80s somewhere, mid 80s, maybe even later 80s, because I know that this is from like Continental Wrestling Association, which is Memphis. But when we see stuff from back then, our eyes just interpret it so blurry. Well, when we were watching this at the time, it didn't come off blurry to us. Our eyes have evolved from seeing all of this high-def stuff all the time. And it's so blurry you can't tell how hairy Dirty Dutch Mantel, because he's basically got like a man sweater on. cheating. Kind of a botched atomic drop a little bit. Oh, dude, there you go. If you've ever fucked around with Rototoms and you've not done what he's doing right here, have you really fucked around with Rototoms? Or you bending the pitch by rotating it? That was definitely going to happen. You know, the doctors and lawyers and intellectuals in the crowd are starting to get with it. And it's what wrestling does, is tell a story. There's probably no one in the crowd that knows that Dirty Dutch Mantel is a traditional legacy bad guy. Jeff Jarrett at that time was just white meat babyface good guy. But through their actions in the ring, they're telling the crowd who is the protagonist and who's the antagonist, and the crowd's starting to get it. Now, I don't know what the percussion ensemble is doing to reinforce that idea, if any. This guy's practiced Chopin, and now he's just banging on the keys. Oh, here we go. Suplex. Suplay if you're watching AWA. See, that's just a... See, the crowd's getting it. The crowd's getting it. The crowd did not want the bad guy to win. Oh, no. Oh, God. There's so much, like, rubbing involved in noise-making and percussion ensembles. You're seeing that. There's, like, people with, like, violin bows rubbing on things. And it's really just to make a noise. That's cheating. See, they should have had a cheating sound. Like, they should have, like... one of those many noise-making devices they have back there should be a cheating sound. I'm already writing a better percussion ensemble piece. They needed me to write this piece because I know about drums and I know about wrestling. It's a talking drum. A talking drum is something that you would have heard on Hey Ladies by Beastie Boys. No, that wasn't a talking drum. Shit. That was the one where you've got the whatever it's called. It's not a talking drum, but you rub this you rub this dowel that's attached to a drum head, and you make a sound. I can't remember what that's called. Somebody else with a completely useless percussion degree, tell me what that is in the comment section. That thing. Kawaka? Something like that? The ref caught the cheating. See right there, there should be like a cheating sound. Dirty Dutch. Getting it over that he's the heel. This video is going to be crazy long, and I don't give a shit. Because probably no one's going to watch it anyway. But I'm going to do this video. That is a lackadaisical... That is some lax counting, ref. Is that Nick Patrick? Is he on the take? Look at that bridge. Jeff Jarrett showing his amateur wrestling skills. It's a picture-perfect Tiffany roll. Hey, why is there a tuba? There's no tuba in percussion ensemble. Actually, now that I hear like the tuba, I think this would have been better served if I'm trying to take the musical part of this seriously. This would have been better served. And I can understand like thinking of like percussion as being like a representation of like physical combat, but I think this would have been better served to have had like some pitched instruments, like more of a complete a symphony. Because, I mean, what's more like triumphant than like trumpets and shit, right? This is a sleeper hold, obviously. Sleeper hold was kind of buried once we saw like real chokes in UFC. There's a wave drum. Oh, he's almost got him out. That's a 2. Oh, and it comes back on the 3rd. Crowd's getting it. The crowd knows they need to help the antagonist, and he's calling for the power of the crowd. Actually, that's a tap. That's a tap. Jeff Jarrett just tapped out. He's tapping. You know, you can tell this is pre-UFC. We have tap outs in wrestling now. That dude's just like, I need this perfect tam-tam sound right here. A siren is also in that piece that I talked about earlier called Ionization. I think Ionization is Edgar Varese. I'm pretty sure if you're a Frank Zappa fan, you've heard that name, Edgar Varese. That's one of his heroes. Frank Zappa would have done this beautifully. Oh my God. Frank Zappa should have been the composer for this. It would have been better. It's been, you know, okay so far. Now, was that a clothesline or was it a lariat? Body slam. Big elbow. Crowd can't believe it. He's not hooking the leg. See, those heels in the 80s. See, like right here where we've got like some pitch instruments going on, this would have been better. Now they're actually, you know, doing sound effects with the punches. Now we're getting ready to do the 10 punches in the corner. If anyone in that percussion ensemble knows what they're doing, they will punctuate these punches. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think it was 5 or 6. Jeff Jarrett with his comeback babyface heat. Babyface fire, actually. Cheating. Dutch Mantell cuts him off. You know, this ensemble's getting me. You know, we can tell that. A jackhammer, ladies and gentlemen. A jackhammer has entered the chat. Avant-garde, of course, the famous quote, the avant-garde is the last vestige of the inept, but I mean, all these guys can play. Has there ever been a jackhammer operated by a guy in a tuxedo before? Duck the elbow, or duck the clothesline, get one. And the conductor's still doing stuff. He doesn't need to do things. That conductor could just hang out. Babyface drop kick. I don't know what's happening. Oh, yeah, okay, so we got some VCR problems here, some tracking issues, kiddies. Do you remember tracking problems in VCR tapes? Oh, no! Oh, no! Dirty Dutch Mantell has grabbed the bass drum! Oh, so the percussion ensemble's in on it. Oh, yay. Smashing with the bass drum! Yes! Yes! Oh, that means there was got to be at least one pro wrestling fan in this in the Wichita State Percussion Ensemble that wanted to get involved in a little bit of business, and he just took a bass drum to the chrome, right to the dome. I mean, when you think about it, like if you're going to use foreign objects in a wrestling match, there's so many dangerous utensils that you could use in a percussion ensemble. Oh no, we got wood blocks now. Wood blocks furiously being beaten. Oh, this is a worker. This is a plant. Back in the day, we would put plants, or well, not we, but they'd put plants, actual wrestlers out in the audience, and they would use them as part of the performance or the work if you were an actual wrestling fan. So this has to be probably a job guy. And this job guy's doing the job. Like, what more way of doing a job than taking a bass drum over the head and then a DDT in the ring? But Jeff Jarrett is going to avenge this citizen. He's only there to play drums, everyone. He's not there to get involved in the rough stuff. Oh my God, the piano player has a 2x4 that he's just spanking all the keys at once. Classical percussion can be so pretentious. Gotta roll up. Our bass drummer is down for the count. And of course, he broke the bass drum head. Back then, those were like thinner Mylar heads that would be a little bit easier to break than our more modern. Well, they're still made on Mylar, but they're made so much better. We have a winner. Oh my God, that was so silly and fun. I'm sure this video is going to be like 30 minutes long. I don't care. Percussion ensemble plus wrestling plus PBS equals like one of the weirdest artifacts of our cultural past that I've ever seen, and also from that TV show that I watched, Tales from the Territories. If you're a wrestling fan, you should go watch it, although the newest episode, the AWA, was really terrible. This is actually in like the National Archives. So somewhere in our National Archives with probably like original manuscripts by Copeland, and probably like Charles Ives manuscripts and footage of the JFK shooting, there is Jeff Jarrett and Dirty Dutch Mantel's wrestling match while being accompanied by the Wichita State Percussion Ensemble. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I knew this was going to be kind of a fun thing, and I enjoyed it. The wrestling was just good, logical, and I know if you're not a wrestling fan, you say logical, you probably think that sounds pretty stupid. If you're an actual wrestling fan, you understand. That's good, logical, mid-late 80s wrestling. If you are familiar with today's wrestling with all the flippy shit, this probably looked very boring, but this, to my eyes, because at the time this was happening, I was a wrestling fan and I was an aspiring drummer. So if this would have showed up on Channel 9, which was the PBS station when I was growing up, I would have definitely watched it. It's silly. Go back and watch the whole thing, especially if you're a wrestling fan. I think it could have been done better. The fact that they had sheet music in front of them really is confusing to me. I don't think that you really needed sheet music, but of course somebody's got to get the publishing on whatever it was that we saw here today. Also, I know that the name of this song piece was War Games. And I don't know if this happened before or after the actual War Games, which was a very specialty match that happened in the NWA with two cages, with one huge cage with the top on it and two wrestling rings inside with usually 8 participants. But yeah, this was War Games, so I guess somebody had to write out some stuff. If you have ever had to perform anything like this, you get your sheet music and it usually just has like shapes and squiggly marks and shit, and it's supposed to convey to the player, make a jazz noise here. If we've already talked about Zappa. If Zappa would have done this, it would have been so much better. Frank Zappa would have understood the connection of the performance art that is professional wrestling with the performance art that is percussion ensemble and avant-garde 20th century music in general. Long live Frank Zappa. And if y'all liked all that, give me a like, a comment, and share. Go check out my merch page. Go check out my Patreon. And watch pro wrestling. Go play drums and keep practicing until it's easy.